You could have knocked me over with a feather. I've never even had a cavity, literally. So to be someone who's never had so much as a cavity, to get a pretty serious breast cancer diagnosis, to say that it was shocking is an understatement. I have stage 3C breast cancer. When I got this diagnosis, I've lived what I think is a very clean life. I don't smoke, I drink a glass of wine at most, exercise, try to eat healthy, all the things that you try to do to live your most healthy life. I woke up one morning and had a swollen lymph node underneath my left armpit. And I think I was just sort of, touching underneath my armpit. I don't know why, just for no reason, and felt the lump. So I went to go see my doctor. The immediate response to my saying, hey, I have a swollen lymph node was, oh, it's probably a result of your shots, one of the vaccinations that you had. But I didn't feel comfortable with that. Once I had the mammogram is when I found out that I had breast cancer. After 6 rounds of chemo, I had surgery. In my case, I had a lumpectomy, which is also called breast conserving surgery. And I also had lymph node removal. I had 20 rounds of radiation and recently just completed that. So now I'm continuing with infusions every 3 weeks for Herceptin through the end of the year. I think as women, we all know our bodies better than anyone, so you have to pay attention and remove any doubt if you have any. If there's something going on, absolutely you have to address it immediately. I don't think there's any point in waiting.
Welcome to AARP Illinois' virtual event. It's wonderful to have you with us. AARP is on a mission to connect with individuals across various communities, especially those aged 50 and above. We're here to listen, understand, and address the unique needs of you and your community as we age. Our goal is to enrich your experience by expanding our local activities, providing opportunities for you to discover and engage with all that life has to offer right here in your own community and virtually. As we journey through today's event, we invite you to consider joining our dedicated team of AARP volunteers. It's a chance to make a meaningful impact and help us better serve those 50 plus across the nation. Connect with us and be a part of this vibrant movement toward positive change. Welcome, and let's make this event both fun and transformative.
Hello out there in AARP world. It is Amanda Pyle coming to you from Morton, Illinois, and we are back with another episode of My Crafty Corner, where today we're going to be making an adorable birdhouse. So let me show you what a finished product looks like, and then we'll talk about how to find and some other things that you could embellish your birdhouse with. So first of all, I started out with this super plain design, no paint or anything, just straight wood. So these could be available at your favorite craft store like Hobby Lobby, or even in the section of like a super center like Walmart. And then I also got a base. Okay, and I'll kind of show how that comes together, but basically to set your birdhouse on so that they have a little platter, almost like we're creating a yard for our birds to have to go along with their house. And that could be, I really was liking that white piece of wood and how it just looked kind of natural, but it also could just be, one of these sliced boards. And then if you're wanting to put a pedestal in the middle, something like this, and then have a finished product. And there's our little whole birdhouse kind of condominium, we're going to call it. So a lot of different ways that we could embellish and decorate our birdhouse. Today we're going to keep it pretty simple and do one very similar to the one I've already done. So just pointing out a few things that I've got on here. This looks really nice and it looks difficult to do, but you'll never believe what it is. It's actually just a regular old household paper napkin. And then we're going to apply that with Mod Podge. Then around the border here, on the bottom border and also on the top, you can see it a little bit better on the bottom. I just found some really neat leafy twine that's really good to cover up those paint lines if you're not a perfect painter like me. Made for really nice coverage for some of those mistakes that were standing out. And then in front, I just went to my local Dollar Tree or dollar store and bought some moss that I just glued onto the front. Some cute little, these are actually stickers, but they hot glued on really, really nice with the hot glue gun. And then I found some sticks just from the front yard. And then basic paints, whatever you want to kind of go with the color of the napkin that you choose. And you could choose any floral print or even just paint your roof if you like. But I thought this was a super cool technique, and that's what we're going to learn today. As far as putting it on a pedestal and adding something for the yard, that can be anything you want. This is more made for like an indoor decorative birdhouse because the elements that we're decorating it with aren't really going to hold up to the weather outside unless you have some sort of overhead coverage. Then it would probably be okay. But yeah, overall, it turned out pretty cute. So we're going to do another version of this birdhouse, changing up the colors a little bit, and then we'll show the final piece after we're all done. All right, so let's go ahead and start with step one. I'll show you the napkins I got. Just a little pack of party napkins. You're going to cut them to size, so really it doesn't matter what size you buy. And then again, we've got our plain and naked birdhouse going on here. I took the tags off already. And then I've got two paints that I'm going to use, like a lavender purple here, and then kind of like a light minty green, which I thought went really well with our napkins. So I just kind of paired up some colors that I thought went well, kind of like I did the first time. I went a little bit darker on that birdhouse, so this one I'm going to lighten it up, and I think they're going to look really nice right next to each other, and this is going to become a centerpiece on my Easter table to kind of hold some of my cupcakes and desserts that I'm setting out for my family. Like it says, little moss from your local dollar store, some sticks from your front yard, and then that optional string, which could be ribbon if you wanted. All right, so the first step that we're going to do, something that I learned when I was making my first one, is that you definitely want to paint everything first and get all these little under parts painted, the inner circle painted as well, and then along the trim before you go and apply any of the like roof napkin technique that we're going to do. So I'm going to point my camera down. I'll go ahead and get started, and then we're going to paint the roof first, then we're going to paint the body of our birdhouse, and then we're going to go ahead and apply those napkins to the top in hopes that it will be dry and ready for us at that time. And then our Mod Podge, we're using the kind that dries on clear, and so gloss luster is what this is for the Mod Podge. And you'll see me use this in several crafty videos. Turns out it's quite useful for a lot of different things, so don't hesitate to get the big jar. And then of course there's the ribbon, which I found at a local craft store. I actually had it laying around, thought it looked really cute. Okay, here we go. I've got my paint ready to go here. And again, I picked this purple, which I'm gonna apply to the body. It's actually a chalky purple. So matte finish, neoprene, acrylic paint, and it's got kind of like a chalk color in it so that it goes on really, really matte. And that's gonna, I'm gonna paint that all over the body of my birdhouse. And then again, don't forget to get the inner circle. I'm using a larger paintbrush for that so that I can apply it on evenly, quickly. This birdhouse turned out to be absolutely adorable. I had a lot of fun making it, so I'm excited that I get to do a second one with you all. And this would be a great little project to do with little ones or with somebody that loves bird watching. Spring is upon us. May already be here by the time you're seeing this video. And again, this is kind of an indoor birdhouse, but you could switch it up a little bit and use an outdoor paint on your roof and body of your birdhouse and do kind of the same things. I don't know how the napkin would hold up. And I'm not worried too much about the trim here at the bottom. I'm not going to obsess over it, because I know I'm going to use that ribbon. And if I have any just slight mistakes down there with the paint, which is easy to do, then I know that's going to get covered up. And then I'm also going to tuck in here and get all underneath my roof and in this crevice here. See all down inside there? Yeah, we need to get that as well. We're actually going to paint the entire roof, and then we'll apply our napkin technique. And I think I'm going to try on this one here doing every other, and we'll see how that pops. I've had kind of a thing for birdhouses in the past few years, but I've never really bought one and embellished it from start to finish until I did this. And like I said, it was just a lot of fun. There's so many different options that you can do. But when I found this napkin technique, I thought, oh, that's really cool, because it allows you to have this really luxurious roof on there, and then just kind of simplify the rest of the house around it. All right. Making our way around here, and then we'll go ahead and switch to the roof after that. Really like this lavender color. I'm using an angled brush here, so it's a little easier to get down into the crevices there and make a nicer line. Yeah, this would be a cute little sit at the table project to do with anybody, really. And like I said, if you have like a back porch that has coverage that'll keep it from weathering too much, you certainly could put this outside. And real birds could hang out in here if they wanted. This is going to go in my Four Seasons room. I have a collection of birdhouses in there already. And this is just going to kind of add to my current decor. All right, we are almost done. And then again, folks, don't forget to get this inner circle so that it doesn't look unfinished. All right, making sure I got all up underneath there as well. Looks pretty good. Now this part here, you could paint in the purple or you could do it in the green. I'm probably gonna do it in the green, and then I'm definitely gonna do this bottom layer here in the green as well. Hopefully by then the body will be dry. So starting with the roof, just gonna paint every triangle here in our green, even though we're gonna lay napkin over part of these. I think it's nice to bring some color to the natural wood. Drag a little purple in there, so I'll run back over it. No biggie. My mother-in-law is super into bird watching. I might have to give her one of these for Mother's Day, or make one with my daughter to give to her on Mother's Day. Again, I found it to be a super relaxing craft and a lot of fun. The birdhouse itself was under $7. This one came from Walmart, but I know that I've seen the mini ones before at the dollar store. All right, already just putting some color on our birdhouse. It's starting to come to life. I'm loving it. Perfect, perfect. All right, I'm gonna lift up here, turn it on its little side, and we'll try and do this little edge here in green. Just using a smaller brush that's kind of the same size as the edge makes this pretty easy to do. Just kind of covering up any purple I may have gotten on there. I'm gonna go back and do that little section last because I got a little too much purple on there and I don't want to drag it everywhere else. I did see this other birdhouse that was really neat that I thought about tackling, where you use old paint chip papers, you know, like you get as the samples from Sherwin-Williams, and you use a big hole puncher. It's like a really large, makes a really large circle punch hole. And you use that for the roof of your birdhouse. And those looked really cute. So I'll have to try that next time. All right, there we go. We are moving right along here. Check it out. Pretty quick process. All right, now we're gonna get our step going down here. Just noticed I missed a little purple spot. Let's fill that in. And again, I'm not gonna get too overwhelmed with painting that perfect line right there, because I'm gonna have that really cool leafy ribbon that I'm gonna kind of set in between right there and this little shelf. Now this certainly could be a hanging birdhouse in your house. You'd have to put a little something on top here. But I thought it looked really neat sitting on the platform. Especially that white one has the rustic wood. And I think that's going to go really nice with the pastel colors that we're using on this one. These are just in time for Easter. Like I said, I'm looking forward to putting a big platter around the base of it. And then I'm going to stand them up on my little wooden pedestal that I have over here. And I'm going to use them as a centerpiece. All right. So there we go. We will go back and get that other little edge here eventually when that begins to dry. So I'm just going to set my paints aside for a second, and we'll work on this whole napkin technique, because that is something that we can apply while the roof is a little bit wet. Okay, so I've got my napkins here. This one's left from the last time. I found that this little cocktail napkin worked really well because you didn't have to cut it so much to fit the birdhouse size. But what I did the first time around was cut it so that it's all single layer. So open it up, I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again. And since we're going to go every other triangle on the roof here, we're only going to need 3 this time around. Whereas on my first house, I did all the way around the roof. I'll show you again. This one here, we're going to see how it looks with just 3. So if we start at the front of our birdhouse and we keep this triangle green, then we're going to do these 2 triangles in the floral pattern and the very back one in the floral pattern. So that's kind of the goal right now. So we'll go ahead and start in the back. This seems like it's almost dry already. And I'm just going to find the side of the napkin that works best for this particular triangle. So if I were sizing it up, I'm going to try and turn this to the front, make sure I got the right one. All right, so I need to be right here. Okay, so if I'm sizing this up and I went all the way up to the corner and then ran my napkin down the side, you can see it's literally almost the perfect size. So really, we just need to figure out where to cut it. So on my first one, I folded it forward, pressed that seam down. It's okay if the paint's a little bit wet. And then it kind of told me exactly where I need to cut my napkin. So we'll see if that worked. And if your napkin is cut before you put it on with the Mod Podge, it's a little bit easier to work with. So we decided we were going to go with this side, match it up right here. Okay, and then we'll still have this little bit to trim off right there. And so you can actually go ahead and stick this part on. Let's make sure I'm on the right side again. Okay, so go ahead and put a little bit on this edge right here. Boom. So that your first paper sticks. I'm gonna go with this one. Want to make sure you're all the way up to the top of that triangle and then all the way to the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and press that edge down. Hopefully you can see that. Get a little closer so that it's right on the edge. And then it kind of holds on to that for us so that we can now get in here, lift it up. Hands might get a little paint on them, but we're just going to trim that right up exactly where we want it to be. And I still think a little bit more. Maybe if I go from this direction here. And I'm just bending it a bit and giving it a trim. We've done our trim work. And this time, we're pretty close to the seam. I don't mind that at all. So we're going to lift up that side that we didn't give any glue to. Make sure that we apply it all the way down that seam as well. And go ahead and do our napkin overlay. Looks pretty nice. So then we're going to take our scissors. See, we have this overhang. Literally going to line that up and cut it off. You can also use like a piece of sandpaper. I'm gonna get as close as I can with my scissors here. Alright, and then what we're going to do is take a bit more of our Mod Podge and we're going to paint right over our napkin. And it will seal down to the top of the house here. And any that's left over right here, we're just going to wrap it right underneath our seam. Don't worry that this is going on white. It does dry clear, as long as you get that glossy kind. And this napkin will get a little wrinkly, but I think it looks really cool. It brings like a textured pattern to the top of the roof. All right. I think I'm gonna like the every other pattern here. If you see some bubbles start to form, try to move them from the middle using your paintbrush and kind of move them out. That way you can not have it dry with a bubble in the center. That looks really pretty with the green. I love this. All right, so we got to do 2 more of those. So we're going to put our next one here, and then we'll put our next one here, so that our back 2, which will show from the front actually, These two have some decorative approach on it as well. So I'm going to work on that, and I'll see you back here in a second. We are on the final, third and final part of our little gazebo top here. And again, got this on here, and we have a little bit of overage, so I'm just bending back. And I'm at the trimming stage here. Just gonna use my scissors to get in there as close as I can. Trim it up. All right, and then we're gonna apply a little bit of glue underneath this lip so that we can glue that underneath so that we don't see it. And then of course, our top layer. And as I said, that's going to dry on pretty matte, but I'm going to go ahead and give a layer of the Mod Podge to my green triangles as well, just so they all kind of have that same protected, shimmery, shiny gloss going on. It's kind of like a sealant. Looking pretty good. I think we got every surface of the roof covered. Can't wait to see what that looks like when it's all dry. Definitely like the two-tone look from the front. Okay, and so now I was thinking with those stickers, these kind of came as like a six-pack when I bought them. But I'm really liking the pink, and I thought that would be really cute to glue right on the center here. So that's going to be our centerpiece. We also need to do around the base right here, and if you want to do the little pedestal feet, you can, or you can leave those naked. Go ahead and get our green back over here. And we'll just go ahead and touch up the edge here. Now that we have a dry birdhouse to kind of hold on to. And then anywhere that you transferred one color onto another color, you can touch up while you still have your paints out. Looks pretty good. One little spot on the back where I got a little bit of green on it, so I'm just going to touch that up over the purple. A couple little spots of the purple that the wood just kind of shows through, so I'm going to touch those areas up as well. Alright, that's looking adorable. And so as I said, I'm going to go ahead and put a little hot glue onto my little medallion here. I think that looks really nice. Glue that front and center here. Just applying a little pressure to make sure it stays on there. Great. All right. Now there's a couple things that you could do here to decorate the outside of your birdhouse. We're kind of at that point. So for this first birdhouse, let's check this out again. We did a little bit of moss which kind of covered up these sticks. I also painted the sticks a little bit, gave them a little bit of white color before I put them on there. And then we did this really nice leafy textured ribbon around the base, or twine, I guess you would call it. So that's one way that you can do it. There's also these really gorgeous dried flowers that I thought could be pretty. It seems like the yellow is going to be a bit more than I was thinking about having on there, but let's see how just some traditional green leaves would look. And I was thinking this would be kind of cool to do like up the side of the front of the birdhouse. Let's open it up and give them a shot. So you can order dried flowers online and get them shipped to you. And they package them in these nice packages that kind of keeps them a bit more pliable and easy to move around. Slide them out of here. And I just thought that'd be really cute if we put some like leafy stuff kind of coming up the sides and edges of this one here, just to give it a bit of a different feel. And then after it dries a little bit, we'll put that ribbon on it around the edge, because I do think that looked really cool. That's the great thing about these birdhouses, is just let them kind of take you wherever you want to go. If you're a true crafter, you've probably got all kinds of things laying around that you could use on this little birdhouse to kind of embellish it. So the way these work is exactly how our roof application with the napkin worked. You're going to put some Mod Podge down, then you're going to put your leafy stuff on wherever you want it, and then you're going to put some more Mod Podge over the top. So let's see how that looks. Finding a place to hold on to it where it's not wet can be a little bit tricky at this stage. So I'm really liking these green viney type flowers. So I'm going to just put a little Mod Podge on right where I know I'm going to want to stick those. This one's a little longer, so I'm going to apply a bit more and kind of go up how I kind of see it going in there, see? And then we apply that Mod Podge right over the top of our leafy garnish, and it will dry clear. That looks really cute. Maybe something else needs to go right here. And then like this little one. And if you have some tweezers, that works great for these type of flowers. That one might not want to bend, yeah, without breaking, so we'll have to be careful. Not all dried flowers are created equal. Some are a little bit tougher, and when you put the Mod Podge on, they retain their shape and their petals, but some are a little bit more delicate, so you have to be a bit more careful. I'm really liking this one the best, but I know that I need a lot of space to put it, so I'm just gonna kind of map it out first. I really like that. Show you guys what that looks like. But I know that if I try to stick it on and it's not on a flat surface, I'm not going to get all of it. I also want to leave room for my sticks to come out of there, so we'll go ahead and put it on this side. Apply some Mod Podge where you know you're going to stick it. On we go. And if it has layers, I like to kind of get in between there if you can. And we'll put a little layer of Mod Podge in between there. I'm just kind of letting the shape of the flowers that I have kind of tell me where they should go. I'm not sure if these will be able to bend, but we'll try. Right now they are, but we'll probably have to hit that with several little layers of Mod Podge. Okay. Now this was that really delicate leaf that we just used a bit ago, so we're going to do minimal brush strokes on there. Perfect. All right, and that'll be a little easier to see once that dries a bit clear. It's going to look really nice. All right, and a bit more here. There we go. All right. So there we go. Some fun little leafy garnish to add to it. Oh yeah, I like that. Once that dries, that's going to look really nice. All right, and then these little tiny leaves that are sticking up, you can either keep trying to glue them down with the Mod Podge, and as they get more wet with the Mod Podge and weighted down, eventually they usually stay. But sometimes that might take a couple rounds of going back and sprucing them up. Okay. All right. Cool. So now, let's set our extra leaves aside. If we want to add some to the back later, maybe we will. We've got a nice little opening looking great. We'll see how those leaves look in a second. Let's move on to adding in our sticks right here. So again, I just picked some sticks right from my front yard. And I kind of sized them up when I started my birdhouse. I'm going to leave these more natural just because I like the colors. And I think I'm going to just maybe break them off to make them just a tad bit shorter. I thought 3 sticks worked pretty appropriately with my last one. So looking at that, I kind of like the way that that's sizing up. And then we'll have a little moss. Getting everything ready to glue here. A little moss for the front. But before we can glue those things on, we want to make sure we do our ribbon. So we'll see how much we have left here. So if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be all the way around the top. And we'll see if we have enough to do both. I think we do. And then if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to go around the bottom. And again, this could be a colored ribbon. I just thought that this was really cool. And I had it. We had made a family tree thing for my daughter's school. And I had it laying around, and I thought, why not? All right, so what I'm gonna do is hot glue, put a little hot glue in between the 2 seams here, and I'm gonna stick this on a little bit at a time. I do like 2 sections at once so the glue doesn't dry before I get it stuck on, and then I add the next section. So we'll do our front and side. Gotta work pretty quickly here. And we want it nice and tight against there. Alright, and then when I get that one go, I do 2 more sections. And then 2. Yeah, if you're like me and you're not a perfect painter, then this is a nice little trick to kind of hide those imperfections. Alright, and we're going to put a little right here, just to end it. And then a snip. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and then the sticks go next. And they can go either direction that you want, but I think it's a little easier for me because I'm trying to make sure you can see the camera. For me to go this way. And I've got all 3 in there. And then I'm going to add a little moss to kind of cover that up. And it's just that simple. There we go. Alright, and then if we want to apply the layer to the top, you can. I'm going to have a look. I want to make sure it's not too much before I go with that. I don't know, I'm going to size it up, see if I think it needs that. Oh yeah, it looks pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and add our top border of leaves now. And I'm going to start it this time in the front. That way it gets glued in the back because we don't have anywhere to cover it up. So I'm going to find the middle, apply the front first, and then wrap myself around. Here we go. Press that down, make sure. That's the great thing about hot glue is it dries so quickly. It makes crafting so much easier. There's our second set. My glue's getting down to the end. I'm gonna try and do 2 sections on this one. And plug that back in for a sec. Go back here. Alright, and make sure it all stays the same way. This twine likes to get a little wrapped. There we go. That's looking good. Alright. Just 1 section left here to wrap, and then it looks like we'll have a tiny bit of extra. So we'll clip that here, and always better to have too much than to run out. Here. Alright. Two more little sections of glue. Boom, boom. And there we go. And I do try to kind of peel the leaves up so that there's a little texture with this particular twine that looks good. Alright, just kind of looking it up to see if there's anything else I want to do. Now would be the time, right? So again, we're just waiting for our front Mod Podge to dry. It shouldn't be long now. And maybe we'll tuck just a bit more moss under this little corner right here. I don't like that piece. And I'm gonna get a little glue and glue those two pieces in. Sorry for disappearing there real quick. Put those two little extra pieces just to kind of carry that over. And voila, it's pretty special, isn't it? Yeah, and like I said, that Mod Podge will dry on clear, and that's going to have a really nice leaf appeal. Let's see our two birdhouses next to each other. One second. Here's the one we just made. Here's our one from before. Oh, they're very complimentary. Very cute. Very cute. And then again, you've got some different options as far as how your birdhouses look. You could just do this simple little wood piece. You could paint that on bottom if you want. I really love the natural look to it though. And then there was also this white kind of shabby chic board that I found. Make sure we don't get Mod Podge all over everything. But I just thought this looks so cute. Kind of catty-cornered on there. Like they have their own little house. And then there's also another option if you wanted to put like a spindle, like you would put on your deck in there. You could even build a layer. I'm going to line those up to be the same so that you have a 2-story birdhouse. Those are pretty cute. So just to give you an idea of what those look like, here's our first birdhouse. And again, as you can see, the roof shows no sign of the Mod Podge. It'll dry nice and clear. And this one here, I just put on a really nice, this was actually like something you'd make a sign out of and hang on a wall, but it was ready to go, and I thought it looked really good with these colors. And then over here, we've got our new house that we just made. This one here could be a 2-story. You could leave this open and they could build their own nest, or I was thinking about tucking some cute little Easter eggs inside of there, and that would be adorable. And then I will come back later and show you what this looks like when the Mod Podge dries up. But yeah, super cute, lots of fun, hard to believe where it started and then what it ends up looking like. Hopefully you enjoy making these super cute birdhouses as much as I did. We'll see you next time in my little crafty corner. This is Amanda Pyle saying goodbye.